Chained Together. Is this game for you? Well, do you want to end friendships quicker than a game of Monopoly, but for half the price and double the rage-inducing screams? Well, today I'm reviewing Chained Together, a co-op physics-based platformer that is equally frustrating as it is addictive. It's a bit like combining It Takes Two with Mirror's Edge, and that produced some kind of sadistic Satan spawn of a child here. So coming up, I'll be breaking down what the game is about, how the gameplay works, what it's like both solo and 2 to 4 players, why it's so popular on Steam with over 20,000 concurrent players, and see if I can actually make it to the top. Overall, Chained Together is simple, frustrating, yet one of the most enjoyable co-op games I've ever experienced. In this game, you're going to laugh, scream, cry, and then just constantly ask yourself, am I the weakest link? If you've ever played Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, you'll know exactly what's going on here. Except now you're chained to one of your friends. I mean, what could go wrong? The game itself is crudely put together with basic assets and really minimal sound, but there's this weird sense of accomplishment in the game, which I'll get to later in this video. So stay tuned to see if Chained Together is going to connect with you, or should you break free from its shackles and move on. This is Marco here from Easily Distracted Games, helping you find new or old games for you to get lost in. So let's get started with today's new video. Now, I'll be honest, Chained Together is not something I'd usually go out and buy, but with its sudden rise on the Steam charts, it really piqued my interest. And plus, I'm all for co-op games, especially ones with couch co-op. There's something about accomplishing something together with your friends that to me is just so immensely satisfying. And so what is Chained Together? Well, put simply, it's a speed running type platforming game where either you or your teammates are shackled up with these chains to, well, climb from the bottom of hell to the top, I guess, which is, to reach heaven? Nothing is really explained in the beginning, but basically you just need to find the best route up to the top of the level, which isn't always as straightforward as it looks. The game is immensely frustrating, so you're either gonna love or hate it, and it's gonna turn many players away that don't have the patience. But it only costs $5, and you don't find many games at that price point that'll give you this much enjoyment and emotional damage at the same time. But how do you play it? Well, let's jump to the gameplay next and stay tuned until the end to see if it's worth buying or not. So as mentioned, because Chained Together is a co-op game, they've done really a great job here with the whole multiplayer experience. Except for one or two things which I'll get to later. But in the game you'll notice you've got online, you've got remote play, you've got split screen couch co-op, which like I mentioned in my Streets of Rogue video is rare to see these days, and they pulled it off really well here. It's obviously recommended that you should play with others. I mean, it's called Chained Together, either with your friends or just random people on the internet. But there's still a solo option if you just want to practice and not seem like you're the worst player in the group every time you play with them. Also, I love that there's just 4 characters with the same jeans here, the same shirt style with different colors. Really, top quality content right here. So every run you start at the very bottom of hell, and you need to climb, jump, swim, drive, curse, whatever to get to the very top. Controls are very simple to learn, but almost impossible to master, especially with everyone yanking your chain. I mean, for the controls, you can only jump, run, climb, and pull. Now, for the first 3, it makes sense to most people who have played any type of platformer before, but that pulling? Damn, there's some higher grade gameplay right there, and it's really tricky to get done correctly. And then when it comes to moving around, playing this game solo or playing other similar games is a very different experience than playing this multiplayer. Because in this game, you literally chain together, so any movements from another player can quite often pull you in a direction you weren't expecting. And that right there is probably one of the most fun parts of this game. So many times you're going to be picturing exactly how your next jump or tightrope walk is going to go, only for someone else, which is usually me, to get a sudden burst of confidence and pull everyone else down. Yes, you can quickly grab on the ledge, but so many times you will just simply fall. And when you fall down, like all the way to the bottom. Yes, eventually you'll have checkpoints or you'll be able to land on some platforms a bit further down, but man, you need to get used to falling down a lot. This game is nuts and creates such a rage inside me, I just had to have one more run, and I kept thinking that every time I played. People with no patience will definitely not enjoy this game, and even worse if you have someone on your team who just wants to speedrun the whole thing. So yeah, get ready to have some friendships tested here. And the whole chain mechanics, such as pulling people towards you, say if they fall down, is extremely challenging too. A sometimes tough action to perform, as you'll be facing your friend when you need to do that pulling action. The game itself has 3 types of difficulty. You've got easy, normal, and hard. Easy lets you restart to basically where you fall, where normal you can't. And then there's hard or hell mode that has lava that slowly rises from the ground that, as you can guess, will kill you if you take too long or fall on it. Playing the game on easy is to me a bit too easy and only recommended if A, you just practicing, or B, you have the coordination of a fish. So I definitely recommend playing it on normal, as then it just makes the run feel a bit more satisfying when you eventually make it past the point you've been struggling on for that last hour. You do also get these wings that are hidden throughout the whole run, and that when you collect all 10, you get like these wings that you don't fall as easily. But yeah, unless you do it solo, trying to find all of them in your run, you might as well just finish the run. Like, I was like, what's the point of these? I'm just gonna fall down anyway. But it's cool to know that eventually if you get 10, it makes it a bit easier. There are 3 main stages in the game: Hell, City, and Heaven, which each come with their own look and feel, which is quite refreshing, especially when you think you'll never be escaping the depths of Hell. And if you speedrun the game solo, it could take you around an hour or so to finish. However, as you can see, doing it casually or with more than one person, that number will multiply tenfold. And it is definitely geared up to be a speedrunning game, as it literally shows you your time and the height on the top left of your screen. But honestly, I couldn't care less about that. And I mean, they could have just removed those, as, I mean, I'm not clinically insane here, I don't need to speedrun this game. But overall, the gameplay is exactly what you see here. It's not perfect, it gets the job done, and it has a lot of fun along the way. And now I haven't touched on really the performance and the graphics and the sound here, which do play some role in the game, so let's see how that goes. And then after that, I'll jump into my pros and cons. So regarding the performance, it runs pretty decently on most PCs. I mean, with even the potato ones having to drop the graphical settings down a bit in order to get it to run. However, I didn't pick up too many issues, except when every now and again you'll sometimes glitch and then miss the ledge that you're trying to grab, or somehow fall through the floor. I mean, it didn't happen too often. Graphically, it's also a bit of a hit and miss here. Yes, the background scenery, especially like the cloudscapes and that, they do look really good. But yeah, I don't know, I just felt like the objects were mostly just slapped together from random asset kits from, I don't know, Unity or, I don't know, Unreal Engine or something like that. They just seemed like those kind of objects. There is some order to them, like you have some hull-related items in the first level and construction-like objects in the next level, but it just kind of looks a bit rushed in a way. But yeah, I guess for a game like this, many people are not going to be caring about these items. They just want to get to the top as quick as possible. And while you're running up the stage, you might or might not notice the sound. It's really bare bones here. There is some ominous music here and there, and people screaming when they fall down to their deaths. But to be honest, you'll hardly notice any of the random objects and the sound, because you'll be too worried about directly what's in front of you. I do though highly recommend putting on some of your favorite music in the background though. It really helps just give you some motivation, as well as to help drown out the cries of your teammates as you proceed to blunder your next jump. There are tons of pros in this game though, but it's not without some drawbacks, as it is a $5 game. So let's jump into some of those and see what they're all about. I'd say the biggest pro about this game is that when you chain together, camaraderie becomes a big component of this game. Even non-gamers can join in, as the barrier of entry is quite low. And like with so many co-op games, the best moments will be when something hilarious happens out of nowhere. Another pro is that there is some decent variety to the game's challenges. Yes, some parts are reused, but for the most part you'll notice new puzzles and sections that just help keep your interest going. Another pro is that it's got an easy mode, which many of these hardcore gaming, platforming, speedrunning games don't have. And I think they did this as many people will be put off if they aren't making any progress. When you look at the cons of the game, well, I'd say it's got some limited replayability here. Yes, in the beginning, you're going to be addicted, constantly saying to yourself, okay, just one more run. But after about, say, an hour, you can get a bit tired of the game, especially if you just keep falling from such great heights. And then because all the levels are static, many people are going to get bored after a few days of playing, or if they somehow reach the top, unless you're one of those hardcore speedrunners out there. So yeah, that's kind of just my pros and cons, but I'm going to be summarizing it now altogether. So overall, you can't go wrong with getting this game. Chained Together is, like I said, $5. So even if you just play it for one night with your friends, the amount of enjoyment you're gonna get easily makes up for what it lacks in other areas. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. It's very rough around the edges, and the animations are goofy as hell, but that's what makes this so fun to play. The game doesn't take itself seriously at all, so unless you're some kind of hardcore speedrunner, neither should you. And to be honest, I didn't make it to the top just yet. I'm about halfway on solo, but doing it with more than one player, and you're gonna be lucky getting out of the hell section, let me tell you. However, I highly recommend Chained Together, as although it might not have the same rich storyline and graphics as a game like It Takes Two, I found myself really enjoying this game from start to finish. I'd say most people will get about a few hours or days of enjoyment at most here, but it's one of those breath mint games, or palate cleansers if you will. Something to shake out the gaming community by saying something like, you know what, you don't need AAA games to get AAA fun here. And that's exactly what this game is. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you made it this far, please consider giving it a like or subscribe if you haven't done so already, or maybe drop a comment if you've had fun or frustrations playing this game to let others know. But other than that, this is Marco here from Easily Distracted Games, and as always, don't stop gaming.